So anyway, hi everyone. This is the live stream. This is the fourth live
Hello.
stream talking about the mastermind topics. In the previous three topics or three live streams, we talked about expansion in the new market, where Fabio talked about the expansion to Saudi. The second one was expansion in the same market, where Lassie talked about expansion, his journey expanding in Germany. And the third topic about the founder's role and the main roles, like the 5 roles you need them in the studio to grow the studio. That was the previous one. And today we will talk about how long does it take for a studio to grow. We will start where we left the last time with these 5 roles and talk about each role into 3 points. When do you know that you need to delegate it, like hire someone to do it? And how do you find that one? And where do you know, when do you know that you have done it correctly or it is already working? So I will share my screen. I mean, with me today, we have Fabio Palvelli, you know him, and we have Lassi Rode, you know him. We
Hello,
three
hello.
are going to be in the mastermind 3 days in Germany, in Karlsruhe, from 22nd to 24th of May, in person, talking about expansion in market and to a new market and how to structure the studio for growth. I will share my screen and then we can start with the slides. If you have any questions about what we present, please comment below and we are going to reply. 1 second, I have 2 screens, so I need to find balance. And by the way, it would really help us to know, are these topics relevant to you? Do you like them? Do you feel like there is something we are missing or something we should talk about definitely? Write in the comment and we will consider it in the next live streams. So you see my screen, guys? I need you to say
Yes,
yes.
we see it.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I will start
Good.
now one by one. From the last time, we talked about the life cycle of a studio, like how it could happen. Many people might really not follow the same route, but it could be this is the common one. We have like from network to inquiry, pricing, negotiate, you kick off, then you produce, you deliver, then retention. And the cycle goes on and on. And in the previous live stream, we talked about the 5 roles. I will start with the first one, which is the most emotional one, which is like, I think I need to start vice versa. Sorry, I need to start with the artist because this is the hardest one. And artists is an emotional topic when you replace yourself with someone else. Um, Now, the first point is when do you know that? I will start with a quick thing before I dive deep into this, why we are talking about the whole thing. Fabio has been helping studios, Lassie is helping studios, and I am helping studios. And there is like some common theme between people. For example, you get someone who is running a studio, and this guy is going to say, "Hey, Anis," or "Hey, Fabio, like I'm running my studio. We are 10 people, and we are growing. We are happy. We are overloaded. That's really great." But like somehow for the last 5 years, 3 years, it's the same. And somehow we are getting some like bored or we feel like we are going to decline somehow. And the first question any of us three is going to ask, I mean, if you feel that there should be a change, what are you changing now? What are you doing? And they say nothing. So like, I mean, how would you expect something to change if you did not change? So that is one. Another case, you get someone joining a workshop for 3 days, or someone who is hiring one of us for coaching for 6 months or 3 months, and they start to implement, they get a new offer, they go into a new market, they have these marketing assets, they start to contact people, and they simply say it doesn't work. And the shock is always my reaction, which is like, I mean, my friend, you have been running this thing on this wrong way or this traditional way for years. And in 3 months, you expect everything to change. And the same thing for the first guy. They expect that if they hire anyone, then things are going to change in a matter of 1 to 2 months. Um, Although they have been running the same thing for 5 years and they have done nothing. And they also expect things to change, or the market will change, or our artists will change. So change takes time. And it's not only that you need to change, also the structure needs to change. Also, you need to let go a couple of things. Most importantly, the things we are talking about today, the 4 roles out of 5. Also, your role should be clarified. People should also have space to grow, space to make mistakes, space to explore themselves. And another mistake I see, like when there are some studios, they are growing, they have the budget, they want to hire new people, they get a project manager from the outside. That's the biggest. I wouldn't say it's the biggest mistake, but like this is really a tough role, and it's not easy to get someone from the outside to manage people from the inside. That's why we always recommend to hire everyone as a 3D artist and with the potential to be a project manager or with the potential to go into sales or with the potential to be in art direction. So they grow with you, they know exactly the people, they know how to interact. I will start with the first role, which is the artist, the most emotional one, which is the first role I think people should let go in the beginning. So when do you know that you need to delegate this role or doing the job? The moment you feel like you are scattered between many projects and you need to prove everything and you need to, like you are overwhelmed with all the types of tasks. And if you have a team and you are still doing the job, the moment you feel like your team is waiting for you to finish the job, instead of them doing it on their own, then basically you are becoming the bottleneck. That is the moment when you decide, okay, I need to let go this role, and but the fear in your mind is like, what if the quality will decline? What if people will make mistakes? Definitely, the quality won't stay the same in the beginning, in the short term, and people will make mistake, and this is the right time to let them make mistakes so they can grow and you can depend on them in the future. Another sign to know if this is like a bottleneck, if you always say, if I do it, I will do it faster. I do not need to coordinate with the people. I can do it on my own and I will do it faster because I am the founder, I understand the client and do everything. That is a big sign that this is not going to, I mean, you won't be able to grow the studio unless there is someone else who is able to grow the studio. So this is the signs. These are the signs when you know that you need to delegate it. When you always say that if I do it, I will do it faster. And the other one is when you feel like people are waiting for you to deliver the work. And the best way to do it is to give people space and hire new artists. However, in that role, I wouldn't hire juniors. I would hire a normal artist, like a mid-weight artist who can take on a project. And I would delegate the projects that are not portfolio critical and the clients who are not difficult so that this artist can lead with, I would say, a smooth workflow. And when do you know it is working? When the project was delivered on time, the client is happy, and there was no big mistake, there was no conflict, there was no escalation of, I would say, problems. Fabio, Lasse, what would you like to talk about this?
I think there's many things to add, but one thing is, I mean, I would I would I would elaborate on two thoughts. One about the artist topic. That would be, I mean, that's kind of philosophical, but I I've heard and seen a lot of people saying they would only hire people that are better than themselves, to be sure they could better artists than themselves to assure that the studio is able to grow even more and not being stuck in the end, still being the one who has to finish the work. Because after all, and of course it's not like that. Some people say that the good ones are running their own studios. That's not the case. Being a good artist doesn't mean you have to be a good business person. So there is the possibility that you being the studio director and having a lot of work doesn't mean that you're the best artist in the world. So that could mean there are many people around that are better than you at the craft, and you can be pretty sure that that's the case. So doing that could be a very good strategy to get to a point where you have a free mind for doing the work you are obliged to do as a founder, like networking and acquiring new projects. But having somebody you could put the work on the table and you can be sure that there's just cool stuff coming out is something very, very important for being free in your entrepreneurial journey. So that's the one. And the other one is the project manager thing. It's just anecdotal, but when I was starting out in my first studio with Peter back then at Exoyo, there was a situation. We were two people, the two of us, working, just being on the phone all day and being on calls with the clients. And then at 6 in the evening, the clients were closing the shop, and we could start the work actually. And then we were working from then until the night, because then the phone wouldn't be ringing, and we would be able to have the time. And that was basically one of the. That was a phase where we thought, okay, we need somebody taking the phone work from our shoulders. So and that was the first step into growth, basically, when there was somebody doing that work for us. So that's my two stories for this. So
Okay.
to wrap that, the sign was, okay, we need somebody. We can't handle it. So that's
Yeah. So what you said is basically when you felt the need for project manager.
yeah.
Okay. We will get to the project manager in the next step, but maybe Fabio, I mean, the thing is, I felt like I talked too much about the artist, and it's like now 15 minutes. We lost half the time. So this is a typical artist time management thing. So, I will contribute. I would like to give the talk to Fabio about the art director, and then we get to the project manager if that's okay, because Fabio was the art director, I think, for quite a while, right?
I worked as an art director, creative director. The last job was for Elephant Skin. I stayed there a little bit more than a year. One thing that I can tell you definitely about art direction is that this is a process. People think it's a skill, and of course you do need to have certain skills, but it's something that you can describe and create a process for it so that you can ease your mind that, you know, when you give a certain job to your team, that they check certain boxes, right? Now, even more important is to have a person that can actually take care of making sure that the quality is consistent. In Archivist, it's a little bit difficult to have an art director that only does the art direction. Like, for instance, when I was working at Elephant Skin, that was the only thing that I would do. I would do a little bit of modeling, you know, when somebody would ask me, to, what can we do with this, or what could we put there? And so, to help them, with things that I thought were missing and were very important, but this was very minimal. But it's very difficult for a company to be able to afford a person that takes care just of art direction. And so, in Archivist, you need to find somebody that can help with the production, but can also, supervise the projects. And one formula that I found that is a little bit more effective is if this person sort of like works in the early phase of setting up the cameras, and making sure that everything is set up so that the artists can take over and work on the light, the materials, and everything. And so, they have to jump from the beginning to the end of the project to make sure that everything is, controlled in a way. In other companies, you find art directors that are basically like team leads of each single team that is working on certain projects, and they basically act as, senior designers who make sure that the set of images that it's produced, it's consistent, and that the quality control is done, the color correction on all the sets, so that the images, they look the same. What I'm trying to say is that there is no one formula for everything. There are different ways that you can implement this. However, one thing that is very important is that once you figure out what is the best way for you, you need to describe this into a document that you share with everybody, so that the artists know what to expect from the art director, and the art director knows what he needs to do and what he needs to expect from the artists, just so that the work is distributed better. And also that if you create a formula that it works and you're scaling up and you want to have another team or other members joining the team, that they can learn the process and understand it better. So yeah, this is the only.
Perfect. Thank you. So if I would summarize what you just said into these 3 points, when do you know that you need it? It means you feel like the quality is not consistent. You feel you need someone to control all the outputs and prepare the scenes, or maybe in case you have it, you have the art director working with this initial phase. So quality is not consistent, and you need someone to lead the creative process. In this way, the way of how to delegate it, number one, is documenting the process. And in many cases, you make something called the quality checks or quality gates between the transformation points. Okay, like anything that has a handoff, like if you are handing off something from the draft to the first revision, if there is any transition point, these are the moments where we have quality checks. So if you have them in place, then you can have an art director. And when do you know it is working well? When the quality is always consistent, there is no complaints about the creativity or creative work or creative process, and the quality checks are already taken into consideration. Did I say it correctly, or would you adjust it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now let's move to the third one, which is the project manager. To Lasse, what you said about the moment when you said like the phone was ringing, and then you said there should be someone who can take care of this role, right?
I mean, this is of course a very simplified way of describing the role of a project manager, picking up the phone. That's not, of course, not what the project manager does. I've seen different, of course, there as well, different types how this role is being filled out. Like just Fabio described, there's also sometimes, or very often, I've seen project managers also being in some kind of a hybrid mode, being part-time, doing the organization and the communication with the client, and being the person who is also doing the quality control and the art direction in one hybrid mode. But that's of course depends on the background of that person and how the role is fulfilled best. Basically referring to what Fabio just said, that we are that you would have to find the way which works the best. As I said, I've seen a lot of times, not only in Arcus companies but also in real estate marketing agencies, that the project managers have a big part in assuring is everything they would present is complete, or is the visualization complete, is everything what has been agreed on in the last meeting with the client worked out, is everything inside the new version of the new revision, is everything as agreed on, and then again, if that's not the case, they would come back to the artist or the lead or the art director in that case, to make sure that this would happen to be presentable. But that's as Fabio described, very depends on
Yeah.
on
So
the,
just
on the
for
process
the
and the person.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. Just to follow the same format, when do you know that you need a product manager? I will, I mean, what you said is exactly the point where when the moment you have a lot of deadlines happening and you are surprised with, you have a lot of client communication, you cannot handle according, I mean, at the same time while you are viewing the work or talking to the artists. At the same time, you have also typical communication between the team and handling the comments in between team and the clients. So this like a role in between those two. That is the moment when you see that you need a project manager. Now, the right way, or I would say the preferred way to do it correctly, is before you hire a project manager, you do need first to describe the task. Like, what is exactly you need from this project manager? Now, in this case, you mentioned like some people needed to be a project manager and art director. Some people needed to be maybe only project managers. And the best way is before we decide like, this is correct and this is wrong, it depends on your studio, on your scale. And if you are like in early stage, you might merge a couple of roles together in one person. But as a project manager, you need to define like, I need this from this guy, okay, and their qualification, they need to be able to handle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, how to handle these situations also should be described. You cannot depend on someone coming from the outside, bringing their style on your studio, and then like sitting 6 months into conflict between merging their style with your style. You need to have your style in communication, into how to respond to clients, how to provide the quotation in case the project manager is also providing the quotation, or how to handle the comments, how to handle conflicts, how to escalate the conflicts between what are the conflicts that project manager can handle alone on, and what are the things that it should be escalated to the founder. Once you have this process documented, now you can hire a project manager or someone who is a 3D artist with some more organizational skills and have the tenderness to be a project manager. And when do you know it is correct or it is done right? When the process from onboarding until the client is happy is going smooth. So before we move to the last two, the sales and the founder's role, do you have any comments on this, guys? The first three, or do you want to add anything?
Yeah, the only observation that I bring from my own experience is that, especially when talking about, the 1 or 2 people offices, 2 or 3 people offices, actually oftentimes what my clients thought is, okay, we need better artists, to start expanding. And in reality, after looking at the way that they were doing things, 85% of my clients, the first person that they needed to hire was a project manager, not an extra artist. Because these, like it's more difficult for a founder to take somebody on board as an artist, because that person will always need to be overseen, right? And you'll always need to check what that person is doing. And so in the very beginning, the biggest help you get from somebody who can, as Lasse said, pick up the phone, call the clients, talk to them, coordinate. In the very beginning, a project manager will also do quotations, bookkeeping, all sorts of things that are related to selling a project, following on payments, which is a big hassle, like you spend a lot of time doing that. And so this is just food for thought for some companies that are thinking maybe it's time to scale up. They want to start with the organic of the artists and maybe salespeople, but in reality, most likely they're looking in the wrong place, and the right place to look at would be the organizational. That's it.
Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
Perfect. So next we have sales and business development. So the first, this is a big topic. We have only 1 minute to describe it and describe the founder's topic. So that's why we will leave it to the mastermind. Sorry,
Yes,
it wasn't
we
meant to
won't,
be
we
this
won't
way.
tell you anything. It's a well-kept secret to finish this up.
Yeah, it wasn't really our intention to make it in this way. So maybe next week, I don't know if next week we have time. I mean, Fabio, would you be able to talk next week? It will
Next
be
week,
like the day before the soda.
we have to see, because I have the technical check, and it all depends on the person that is coming there. But if I can make it, I'll be very happy to join. But I'll let you know well in advance, okay?
Okay. So
I have
most
a
probably,
justification not to be there next week.
yeah, okay. So most probably also I will be there. So in case I will be there, I will join with Fabio from the same laptop or maybe
Ah,
separate.
cool.
So next week we will continue talking about sales and business development, plus the founder's role.
How do you? Yeah.
I did not expect the artist's role to be that long. Yeah, cool. Guys, one last thing about these 3 roles. Also, the other 2 roles we'll talk about next week. If someone is telling you like it takes you 1 year to grow, 6 months to grow, 1 day, 100 days, that's all really wrong answers. It all depends on where you are now. And where you are now, it's not only organizational, it's also your awareness about where you are very good at and what are you missing. And that's exactly why we have made this mastermind. This mastermind is not like a gathering, just a gathering, or like, oh, we are talking about sales, this is the sales process, 1, 2, 3, and all of that. It is like a place where you can get a complete external perspective on your studio. Also, plus compare it to other studios. And if you are interested to join us in person, contact me or the other guys, and we will provide you with more information. Until next week, stay healthy, stay safe, and see you all next week, guys. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.